Okay, so we are officially starting book club for Worthy. Yay! I'm going to turn it over to Jara because she's our fearless leader. I'm just her co-pilot.
Hey everybody. Yes, so we were just discussing how lengthy this book is. So we're hopefully going to get through as much of it as we possibly can in our time together. But I really want to encourage you to dive into it by yourself, and be able to absorb as much of this as possible because it is so valuable, the message in this book. Um, and there's an accompanying PDF. You definitely want to either print that out or pull it up, the PDF, and then just be able to make notes in a journal or a spiral or something like that, because it is definitely some work that I think every human, but especially women, need to do. And so it's really good. So any chance you can listen to it and make notes and little pieces of homework you can do, I promise you'll find value in it and you will grow. And so section one's a nice big chunk. And we didn't actually include like Worthy starts here. It's not even like chapter one. It's kind of like a pre-chapter. I don't know what those are called. I think they have an official name. But it says you become what you believe you are worthy of. And she starts it off, and I thought this was really interesting because it's just such a valid point on how quickly we can you mute outside things?
I got it.
Just so the recording isn't jumping around. Thank you. So how quickly and how early in our life we start to question like our value and our worth. And so she says, do you remember the first time, perhaps as a little kid sitting in a classroom, that you knew the answer but decided not to raise your hand? And I feel like everybody can relate to that, whether what type of schooling you had, like any kind of social setting. Like it starts early, how quickly we decide to like turn off our light and not speak up and out about the things that matter to us, or we're afraid of what other people are going to think. I need these captions to stop scrolling on the screen. There we go. I'm like, why? Okay. So since with a slight pit in your stomach caused by the new and daunting awareness of other people's opinions, you debated raising your hand and going for it until you decided not to. And just like that, in a single moment, you began to live in a way that was incongruent with your soul's fullest expression. And I was just like, God, like we just let people dim our light, or what we think they're going to think of us, or we may say the wrong thing or whatever. And so fast forward today, are you still the person who's not raising your hand when you know the answer? Are you still hiding just in case you're wrong, or just in case you fail? And now you're an adult who knows the answer, but inside, are you still the same little kid who doubts it? Maybe you're sitting silently in work meetings or in your daydreams, knowing that you have a wild idea that might be genius. And so it says self-doubt, unworthiness, and fear cause us to dim our soul's light. And I was just like, I don't know, I feel like that just hit me, and I feel like that's so relatable. And so she says, like, pretty much the whole premise of this book is that the moment you learn to trust yourself and believe that you are worthy is the moment your entire life, the past and future generations of your family, and our entire world can change for the better. And I could not agree more with that statement. I feel like there's such a huge, it's like that Michael Jackson song, like, if you want to make a difference, take a look in the mirror and make a change or whatever. I feel like that is so important, because as women, when we step into our worth and step into our value, and she talks about the difference between worth, self-worth, and self-confidence. But when you believe you're worthy and you make the changes like in yourself, like that casts out into your home life, it casts out into your community. And like, that's just such a big way that I feel like women can do those things and really change the world for the better. And it really starts in our own households and within ourselves. So does anybody have any thoughts on any of that? Yes, Kendall. Yes, Kendall.
Well, I just want one thing I underlined in this that really stood out to me is like, right, whenever we're feeling unworthy in things and we're not living in our full potential, it says maybe you're calling busyness a badge of honor when really you're using it to numb your feelings.
Yes.
I am definitely someone who, if I'm struggling in an area, I try to accomplish things. I'm like, well, if I can just homestead, great. If I can just stay on top of the laundry, if I'm cooking a 5 course meal for my family every night, like, right, I'm good enough. I'm busy enough.
Yeah.
If I've got lots of check boxes, right? And I'm somebody,
Right.
I'm not good at being idle to a fault. I cannot be idle. I instantly equal idleness to laziness, even though it's not true. And
Yeah.
so, and I've recognized that hit me because I was like, yeah, busyness, badge of honor, got that one. But it's,
Yes. And I feel like that was a lot of my life prior to COVID, because just as a mom, like I was really, really busy and we had all these activities and I was taking her to this and I was taking her to that and was signing up for this and volunteering here and like doing all of the things. And then COVID caused this massive like stillness, where it was like we just don't do anything. And I feel like that is one of the positive sides of COVID. Like COVID was completely ridiculous, but that I feel like a lot of people took pause and a moment, and like so many like times with our families like came back in and we were able to breathe and rest. And I feel like if you let that time like show you what God was showing us, I think, and I think that she talks about that later too, is like um using your circumstances for good or finding the lesson in whatever's happening. And that was one of the things I gained from that, was being able to like stop and pause and take a step back. And I will find myself occasionally after COVID trying to jump back into the busyness and chaos. And I'm like, no, I need to back off. We don't need to be doing all the things. Like, just because I'm doing all the things like doesn't make me like a better mom, and then therefore makes me a better person or whatever. So yeah, that stuck out to me too. Yeah. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? You're welcome to unmute at any point.
Kendall, I was going to tell you the first thing I wanted to say was the exact line that you did. I started and everything, so you took the words out of my mouth.
yeah.
But I also like what it says on page 3. You're exactly enough, valuable, worthy of love and belonging. There's nothing you have done or could ever do to change that. That's something that resonated in my spirit, and I needed to hear that. I've got a lot of things in this book I like so far.
Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
I have that underlined as well.
I'm going to highlight that because that is so good now that you pointed that out.
Your animal characters just crack me up every time. You are a mouse today.
So funny.
So you could do that, but it's just really cute having a mouse talk to me on book.
It is cute. It is one of the things, like literally there's no judgment. Come here however makes you comfortable.
You want to be a mouse. But no, I had that underlined as well. 100% agree.
I do love that. On page 5, there was something she said that she said to herself, and I highlighted it just sort of as a note to myself. And one of the things that I, like in my time with God or whatever, she says, please help me serve at the highest level I can. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, just in one of the ways that we ask God to use us in our circumstances. And then she talks more about like, asking if you've had moments in your life where you feel like you sabotaged your opportunity, or you didn't go for it because you didn't think you had what it takes. And I think we all have moments like that, whether they're in our business or stepping up in PTA or whatever, like whatever you sort of felt like, oh, maybe I should do that. And then it's like, no, so-and-so would do it better than me. Or they have, such and such that I don't have, or something like that. And I feel like we all have those. But there was a huge chunk on page 9. I just did a highlighted square around the entire page because it was so good. But she was saying, here's what I know to be true. If we don't believe we're worthy of starting the business, of being in a loving, committed relationship, or of having healthy, empowering friendships, If we don't believe we're worthy of a seat at the table, of writing the book, of running for office, if we don't believe we're worthy of rest, of celebrating our body exactly as it is, of soul care, of doing less and being more, if we don't believe we're worthy of showing up on social media authentically, of leading the team, of breaking the generational cycle, or of sharing our story with others, if we don't believe we're worthy because we've made too many mistakes, we've already failed too many times, or because someone told us we weren't worthy and we believed them, if we don't believe we're worthy of all of these things we want and deserve, we'll never get them. In life, you don't soar to the level of your hopes and dreams. You stay stuck at the level of your self-worth. You don't rise to what you believe is possible. You fall to what you believe you're worthy of. In your goals and career ambitions, you don't achieve everything that you're qualified for or capable of. You plateau at what you believe you deserve. And whether you know it or not, at the level of success where you've established your own internal identity, in your romantic relationships, in the level and depth of intimacy, vulnerability, and love can only be as strong as the level and depth of vulnerable, intimate love you have for yourself. It's the same with your friendships. And in these relationships in your life, the level of pain you'll allow another person to cause you, whether it's through hurtful words or actions, often hovers right around the standards you have for the level and frequency of hurtful thoughts, ways, and words you think and say to yourself. And it's the same with your body. Your body can feel like a source of shame or like a miracle in motion, all depending on your relationship with worthiness. I was like, holy crap. Like, I just thought that was so, so good. But yeah, I just, and this kind of plays back on, I think Mindy said this. Yeah, Mindy and Kendall too. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from. That doesn't determine where you're going. We are not our past mistakes. We are our present and future intentions. So this book is so good, you guys.
I like what it says on page 8. It says the labels that others put on us or we have put on ourselves are removable, not permanent.
Ooh. That's fire right there. Yes, that's so good.
I didn't even
Yeah,
do that. I didn't
I
have
didn't either. I didn't see that either. And I have the book and the Audible and the PDF. Yeah, that is really, really good. Anyway, it was just so, so good. But moving on to page 12, she says, I can't help but imagine what our world would look like if it was full of women who decided to believe they're worthy. When I imagine a full world of women who feel worthy, I imagine the earth shaking with the jolt of possibility when we all wake up in the morning. Imagine with me, what would a world full of women who decide to believe they're worthy feel like? The potential that would be unleashed, the power of possibility unfolding. Imagine the generational cycles broken, the unhealthy relationships that would end, the businesses that would be launched, the body shapes and sizes that would be celebrated. Imagine the rest that would be taken without guilt. Imagine the cellulite that would confidently be jiggling with joy. Imagine the seats that would be filled up in the boardroom, what the list of Fortune 500 CEOs would look like. Imagine the mental and physical health that would be prioritized. Imagine how our government would lead. Imagine the injustices that would end, how children's storybooks would be written, and who little girls would grow up dreaming of being. Imagine the time and capacity that would be freed up when self-doubt is silenced. So I just, so many good little nuggets and things. And you know, maybe she says later on in the book that she feels like she's always had like this little like thought that she was different or called to do something big, even if she didn't really know what it was. But she let her, you know, her life circumstances, and like her parents got divorced and they remarried and her dad's an alcoholic and she was originally adopted, and she got involved with the wrong crowd at school. She actually ended up getting arrested and spent an entire weekend in juvie. And that didn't even wake up enough. Like, she continued to continue down a path that she knew was not in line with her purpose from God, but she just continued to let herself derail. And then she found her way back. And so that goes back to what Mindy was saying, is like, it doesn't matter where you are or where you're coming from or what you've done or what you've experienced or whatever. Like, you have the power to rewrite and change that at any time you decide. And to live in alignment with your assignment. I was like, oh, that's good too. So then part 1 starts and starts with chapter 1. But I love the opening quote from chapter 1, and I shared this in the post in our team page. Nakia Homer, I'm not even sure who that is, maybe somebody knows, but she said, "I'm just not giving up. The woman I'll be in a few years from now is counting on me, and the world shifted." And so I just love how, and we don't know, like, in how the world is counting on us, right? We don't know the little steps we'll take that that shift the world, you know, and it may not be the big giant world, you know, you think of the entire world, but your world, your kids' world, you know, like, that's huge. Like, they're our whole world, right? Like, so even if we were to think small regarding the world shifted, that's still not small. So I thought that was amazing. In chapter 1, she says that we tend to let things stop us, and we kind of tend to think, like, when something happens, then something will be great. When I finally get the promotion, when I finally hit the rank, when my paycheck looks like this, when I finally get the dream house. I know that's kind of in my back and forth chaos. I've got a house for sale and I'm living in a 400 square foot camper, and I feel like I'm stuck and can't do anything. When I finally get the external recognition I'm craving so deeply, when I finally feel celebrated by others, when I finally hit the milestone, then I'll be enough. Then I'll finally feel fulfilled and happy and worthy. But she talks about how there's most likely times in all of our lives where we thought something was going to go a certain way and it didn't. And I think one of the examples she has, I don't know if it's in this chapter or not, one of the examples she has is like your high school sweetheart or something, like you thought it was going to work out, or like a relationship or something, or maybe even a best friend you thought was going to be your best friend forever, or something, and then it turned out that that wasn't God's plan for you, and how it turned out to be even better or great. And so she talks about how you actually get the thing, whatever the thing is, but it doesn't leave you with lasting fulfillment forever. There's always some sort of something that we are trying to achieve. But self-worth is not something you earn or achieve. And so if you're constantly looking for validation somewhere, whether that's in a relationship or a job or whatever, even when you get it, if you don't feel validated and there's still like a hole missing, it's the self-worth, like that's what's missing. And so I thought that was good, because it's just expecting to feel like everything is going to be great when X, Y, and Z happens. Nothing actually changes, even when all the things change around you, unless things change within you. And so you can be, you know, you can win the lottery and think all your problems are going to be fixed. But if you don't love you and value you and who you are and what you bring to the table, it's not going to fix the problem. So, yeah. Any other nuggets? I feel like I've been talking for a while.
Well, there's a lot of nuggets in chapter 1. It's long. I have a gazillion things underlined. But like, up to this point, like even the part, it says on page 20, it says, "Through meeting so many of my greatest heroes in real life, many whom have accomplished more than I could ever imagine, I learned they still have these exact same fears and they work daily to overcome them." And I know comparison is a big thing that, you know, I've struggled with for a long time in my life, right? Because of just stuff in my childhood. Anyway, that's where a lot of our self-limiting and labels all come from. But like, so often we let comparing ourselves to people who have what we want or look like what we want or have achieved what we want or whatever, make us feel small and make us feel unworthy. And I just love this reminder that they have the same fears, they have the same things, they just work to overcome them.
Yeah,
And
daily.
so many people don't realize, I mean, I feel like everybody should have a therapist. Like, so many people don't realize we all have struggles, we all have things, and some just choose to sit in that and accept that. And that's why, like, I'm loving this, because it's through things like this that it's revealed to you, oh, that is something I've been thinking, and now it's helping you reshape that, so you can be like, wow, I didn't even realize how that was affecting my life, or how much I did compare myself to others, not realizing like their poo stinks too, like everybody's
Yeah.
and so, but I love that they though just work to daily overcome that. And so that's why I'm like, this gives us the tools and equips us to be able to overcome that. So
Yeah. And it's another reminder too, that even though those that have reached success or so, considered a hero or have great accomplishments or whatever, they still battle to overcome that daily. I thought that was nice. It's because that's just another indication that like once we arrive, it doesn't make it go away or whatever. Like, it's just a part of your life. It's something that just like we're human and you just have to do it daily. It's not something that's just gonna, go away. Yeah, I thought that was cool. She talks about the difference between self-worth and self-confidence. Like self-worth is internal. It's a deep-rooted belief that you're enough and worthy of love and belonging just as you are. And so I had to I sat and just kind of thought for a second, like exactly as you are, like right now. Whether you're wearing a bra, whether you're 20 pounds overweight, whether you're wearing makeup and earrings right now, it doesn't matter, exactly as you are right now in this moment. Not like yesterday when you looked cute, or Friday night when you have a date, or whatever, like that's not when it's now, it's all the time. And then self-confidence is how you evaluate yourself based on your qualities, your skills, and your traits. Those are linked to external things, and those can fluctuate and go up and down all the time. But self-worth is deep and internal. And so that's the difference in the two of those. But self-worth doesn't fluctuate easily in response to external wins or losses. When you have a strong self-worth as your foundation, you become unwaveringly resilient. And that's how you become unstoppable on your journey of becoming all of who you're born to be.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So self-worth is equivalent to like your self-esteem, right? Or is it different?
So she does like a big thing. Let's see. She talks about, okay, there's several other commonly used terms that are easily confused with self-worth and self-confidence, including self-esteem and self-love. Just for clarity, in the book, she focuses on self-worth and self-confidence. But I think it is, yeah, self-esteem, self-love, self-confidence, self-worth. I guess it's kind of how you define the word, I guess. But I would think self-esteem is how you view yourself, right? Like, but your confidence is like you're confident in external things, your skills and abilities. Where like self-worth is and self-esteem are based on your identity.
Right.
Does that make sense? Would y'all agree with that?
I recently took it wasn't recent, it was a couple months. It was in December. I took a test from this lady on the East Coast. But anyways, I didn't know this about myself. But like she's like your self-esteem or like self-worth is like lower than it should be. Which was like kind of shocking to me because Brad scored higher than me. Anyways,
I think men are less critical of themselves. We are
Probably.
definitely our own worst critic.
But I honestly think I was probably getting it confused with like self-confidence.
Mhm.
Because I think
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
like,
Esther.
more confident than I am like, you know.
I'm reading another book right now called Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. And it makes a lot of comparisons about men and women and self-esteem and everything like that. And men, of course, do have higher levels of self-esteem than women. That's why we shirk away from a lot of things in the business world. Their hand shoots up in a crowd when asked a question faster than a woman's in a heartbeat because
Yeah.
of that innate self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think, and not to say that like boys and men don't struggle with self-worth. I think anybody can. But I would agree that generally men don't attack themselves the way women do. Like,
Yeah, you're probably right.
I love that she differentiated between self-worth and self-confidence in this, because I don't think, like Esther, like you, I think I would probably, where I thought, oh, I'm a strong person, I'm a confident person, I'm a capable person. Like going through this later, she shows us this chart of like 4 different people, and I was like, wow, like before I even read really what it was, like I realized I am the person who I try to achieve all the external things. So I have the self confidence that I can achieve what I set out to do. But my actual worth and identity
Right.
is not where it should be. And I didn't even identify that until going
That's
through.
like 2 separate things. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm confident. I must think I'm worthy. When really, when you kind of
right.
start and break them down, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
I need some work.
Yeah. And she breaks it down in the book more. It starts on page 21 and then goes through, like she actually does several pages of that and like how she breaks down the differences between the two. And what self-confidence without self-worth can look like. Like there's a lot of that in chapter 1. But like a couple of the examples she gives, like every time you show up inauthentically or as your representative or as the person you think will make other people happy, you tell yourself you're unworthy as your true self. And when you improve your self-confidence, you're bolstering your opinion of your own traits and abilities. But when you improve your self-worth, you bolster the deep belief within you of your own value as a person. And yeah, she does go into where is that chart? Is that in? Yeah, okay, it's in the same chapter. It's on page 32. If you have the book, if you don't, and you had the PDF, it's on page 16. There is a picture of that in the PDF if y'all downloaded that. Page 16 of the PDF. It's like a square chart with like a, I don't know if y'all can see that. It looks like that. And so she talks about how you can't have like a strong self-confidence and a low self-worth and then move your way up like diagonally across the chart. Like if you have like strong in one area but then weak in the other, like you won't move forward. Like you need both.
So this is kind of a sidetrack, but this whole like PDF is in the book. So if I order the book, everything's in there.
Yes, or the PDF is just free online. I sent the link to like our team chat. It's also in the post.
I have it downloaded, but it's just like 150 pages. So if I just order the book, is it that all in the book?
No, the PDF is almost like a workbook. Like it asks you questions with reflection and like journaling opportunities.
Okay. I should just print it.
Yeah, you could print it, or like I said, you can just pull it up and then just, get a spiral notebook and write your answers or something like that. You don't have to print it out.
Hey, Jarian,
I have access to a free printer.
Sorry, your mom's asking what page, Jarian. It's page 32.
32 in the actual book and then 16 on the PDF.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she talks about like different people. She does like 4, I think, yeah, person A, person B, person C, person D, and it talks about like their perfectionists are often A's, like they're high on the self-confidence, but they're low on self-worth. like they're incredibly successful on the outside, they're high achievers, but whatever they achieve, it never feels like it's enough, so they're perpetually unfulfilled. Bs have high self-worth but low self-confidence. They likely feel a deep sense of peace and love, but they don't feel confident or confident in their skills and abilities. They may or may not have any drive to achieve more. They're really at peace either way, regardless of their outcome or their external pursuits, or even if they choose not to have any external pursuits. Like they're okay with not, broadening their skills or whatever, because they're just happy being them. Person C has low self-worth and low self-confidence. And then person D has high self-worth and assesses themselves to high levels of skills and attributes. And so they're the ones that like path up, because they've worked on, both sides of that. They have high ambition and drive, but they also have a strong self-worth where they don't feel like they're trying to fill a void of not being enough, lovable, or worthy through external accomplishments. And she has like a little example of like when she went to lunch with a friend of hers, who was incredibly highly self-confident. By all external measures, this person is successfully financially, socially, has a great career, all the things. But then over lunch, he was reflecting on his past career success in the corporate world and sharing how painful a recent setback had been in his business. And it made his decision cost him like money and notoriety. And so, I mean, it was just all bad news across the board. And so he blurted out, "I used to be somebody," during their lunch. And she was like, she literally says, "WTF? Sorry, grandma." She was like, "Wait, no. What do you mean you used to be somebody? Like, just because you like failed at this thing or made a bad choice or, something totally bombed in your life doesn't mean you aren't somebody." Like he was tying his external success to his value and worth as a person. And so that's kind of a, if you don't have the back office points you wanted, or you didn't hit the rank you thought, or you missed out on the monthly, enroll 3 and get a cute wallet, and then you beat yourself up for the next month about it, you were tying your worth and value to that prize or that rank or that paycheck or whatever. And I think we all do that. I know I do that. I have major FOMO when everybody gets the things or does the thing, or when there's like the comparison game where I think everybody got the things or did the things. But
I feel like we do this really bad as moms. Like we tie our worth of being a mother to our children's choices, or know, if they don't make the right choice or they don't do the right thing, then that means, I've failed. And we put all of that expectation on ourselves rather than where it belongs.
Right. And she actually talks about that on page 28. And she says, well-intentioned friends and family and colleagues tend to do this or perpetuate that societal pressure. When people ask like what you're doing or what you're up to, instead of how we're being or how we really are. Well-intentioned family members want to know how our job or career is going, if we're dating or married yet, what we're doing next. When we deliver answers that demonstrate achievement in any of these areas, they're often met with an approving smile, congratulatory words, and recognition that can be confused with love. And we receive similar messages in other areas of our life, like whether you're a good parent, if your kids get into a school, if they get a good job. Uh-oh, we're bouncing around again. That's okay. Like if your kids get married, if they start a family, and if they don't do any of those things, even if they're happy, the concern and pity that others show reinforces the message that you must have done something wrong as a parent and you should be worried about your children. And we do this through social media too, because it seems like everyone else is happy in their posts and they're doing all these wonderful things and achieving and traveling and having fun. And the more exciting their lives look, the more they are rewarded with likes and comments. And the cultural obsession with achievement can certainly stimulate the economy, but when generations are taught that hard work, career progression, recognition, and monetary achievement are the ultimate goal, it doesn't foster learning, innate worthiness, or true fulfillment. So yeah, that reminds me of what you just said, Kelly. It's like, you know, the decisions, you know, adult kids make, or if your kid, I don't know, it's like having the bumper sticker on your car that your kid's on honor roll. Like, you know, I homeschool my kids. I'm never going to have that bumper sticker. So that can't be my external way of deciding that I'm a great mom, you know? So whether you have the bumper sticker or not, we can't tie our self-worth to those external things of measurement. So yeah, chapter 1's good. I feel like we can absolutely like talk, and we're 40 minutes in and we're on chapter 1. Holy crap, I just saw that. Kendall, supposed to be keeping me on track here.
I liked all of this. Y'all, we may not get all the way through part 1 because we're going to try to keep this to an hour, but read it. It's all worth it. And she repeats so much of this. Like I told Jared, like a lot of it's repetitive, but I feel like it's because you really have to drill this home. Like,
yeah, I agree. It is. And there's lots of examples in the book, and she shares so many like personal anecdotes from her life that, you know, makes you like, I feel like it speaks to so many people because she just has so many examples and stuff. But oh gosh, I could skip like a zillion things. But chapter 2, and this was actually really good. So she starts chapter 2 asking a question of what would you do in your life if you had absolutely zero fear of rejection or failure? And I think if you did book club last month with us for corporate book club, that question was asked then too, I think. Because he talked about like being fail proof and like it's okay that you're going to fail, or that you have like learning opportunities in place to grow, but that you got to take those steps and take those opportunities to grow and learn and fail in order to move forward. So I think that is a really great like thing for everybody to like write down, text yourself the question, and ponder this question for yourself. If you want to share with us, you can, but by no means do you have to. But I think that would be really great self-reflection, is to truly sit in that and ask yourself what you would do if there wasn't the fear of rejection and failure. And then depending on that answer, I would sit and journal and pray and think and ask God why that is a problem in your life. What is that thing that's holding you back? And give God the chance to talk to you and have some clarity in that. Because if we don't know what the problem is, we can't move forward. Like you can't address an issue that you don't know exists. So I think that's really good. And that's 2 of the biggest reasons people hold back from taking a chance, the reasons they stay stuck, that they never share their ideas, that they talk themselves out of pursuing their dreams, and that they never reveal who they truly are or how they feel. And so she wants us to reframe like how we think about rejection and fear, which I'm going to skip and if somebody wants to jump in at any point, I'm on page 42, but I'm skipping forward. And if anybody wants to jump in, you can. But there's a process to like transcending and changing your relationship with rejection, and redefining it. And she wants us to not take it personally, because that causes you great pain. It complicates your relationship when people, you know, tell you no, or send you back a nasty message when you send them out a reach out, or whatever. If you decide, and you can decide this, you have this ability to decide that rejection and failure don't have to cause you pain. They just don't. Like, just make that decision and just decide that it's not going to ruin everything if I get a no. And so I'm moving to the thing. Okay, so these are her go-to ways to redefine the meaning that she assigns to rejection, and they're on page 52. Number 1, she decides that rejection is God's protection. So a no to something is just God protecting you from it. Like, that wasn't the path he had for you. I mean, I've been stuck on that with Danny, like taking a new job in East Texas, and should we sell our house? And what about this house? We love this house. And you know, whatever, or somebody, you know, being nasty to you on social media or whatever. And so she says to change it and say, I haven't been rejected. My creator hid my value from them because they're not assigned to my destiny. And so I was kind of stuck on that too. Like, we can't buy another house until our other house sells in Fort Worth. And so I can fall in love with the house now, but once my house sells, if it's gone, that wasn't the house God wanted us to have. That's not where he wanted us to build our life and our family and our memories, right? So I'm not getting upset. Anytime a house pops up that I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute, you know, whatever. And then a couple of days later, I see that it has a pending offer on it. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't the one for us. Like, because the timing is going to play out exactly the way God wants it to. And I have to stay faithful in that, or I will drive myself crazy. But the same too, like if somebody's nasty to you on social, you reach out to them or offer them a sample and they say no, it's just not meant for them right now. Like they're not in alignment with what God has for you. And I actually shared, I'm in another book club for this exact book, and that's how much I love it. I'm in 2 book clubs for this book, you guys. It's so good. But I shared a personal thing here in our neighborhood in Fort Worth, where I thought we were going to build our life and family and whatever. We were the only homeschoolers in the neighborhood. Super, like, anytime we had like my kids' birthday parties and whatever, we invited all the neighborhood kids to come, like all the things. And in the 18 months we lived there, we were never invited to anything else, to any of the people there. And I made a point to invite and try to create community and like all the things. And so before this Athens job came up for Danny, I was like, I hate it here. This is not where I want to be. This is not our community. This can't be what God's plan was for us. Like, I really felt like I was trying and doing all the things. And there were like kids bullying my kids and trash talking them on Fortnite and the neighborhood kids. And I would like talk to the parents kindly about it and say, hey, I mean, we're neighbors, our kids, you know, run around the neighborhood together. I really want to work this out. They didn't want to work it out. They didn't care that their kids were nasty to my kids. And I was miserable. And I told Danny, I don't want to live here. And like a week later, God struck our house with lightning. We had massive lightning damage in our home. Huge claim filed, over $50,000 worth of damage. It was insane. And then like a month later, the Athens job in East Texas pops up. And I'm in the middle of getting our house repaired and fixed and all the things. And he says, hey, what do you think about moving to East Texas? And I was like, babe, see what happens. And they called him in less than a week. Talk about God like interfering in a massive way to show us that we weren't rejected from this community. We weren't, you know, outsiders, you know, the bad people in the neighborhood. My kids weren't the brats nobody wanted to play with. They were not assigned to our destiny. That house was not our destiny. That community was not our destiny. That neighborhood, that homeschool community that sucked and they never got together. I was like, this just does not work. You know, I just don't like this. And then God just started intervening. And sometimes we don't see those things until later, but those are God's ways of protecting you and aligning things for your good. And now, of course, I have a whole new set of problems because that just goes to show you in the book, we all, you know, the problems never go away. You have to count your blessings and do your best with what you got in the moment, right? But I felt this exact way. I was like, we haven't been rejected. We're, you know, we're worthy of friendship and community and our dream home and all the things, just like anyone else. But my creator hid our value from them because they weren't assigned to our destiny. And I had to tell my kids this when I got to this, and that's when I decided to start reading them this book with me, because I had to tell them, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so that were total brats to you, that were calling my son fat, that were, I mean, they were mean, and their parents did not care. And I was like, this cannot be our forever, surrounded by these people. And I had to tell my kids, I was like, he hid your value from them. They weren't supposed to be your friend. And so that was like, oh, you can do that in any scenario and just decide, this is God protecting me. This is not what he has for me. Something is better, you know, and that rejection and failure are victorious. They are a reminder that we are one of the brave ones willing to go for it. It doesn't mean you're not enough. You just need to catch that in real time and reframe it and just decide that no is not right now, or just hidden from your destiny. She says she was crying under blankets lots of times, and not sure if she should step out. She's I don't know if y'all know, like, and I didn't know who she was. I know Esther knew who she was, and I think Jerian said she knew who she was. But she's like the founder of IT Cosmetics. I'm not a makeup girl, so I didn't know who that was, and I didn't care. I was like, okay, whatever. But she had, in the book, she talks a lot about how, you know, she got doors slammed in her faces left and right, you know, with this makeup company. And she ended up, after a long time, selling her company to L'Oreal for $1.2 billion. So I think she's happy for all the no's and all the ways God intervened in her life. And I was like, oh, okay. And so she decided she's just a brave one that's willing to go for it. And that the people who succeed in life most are the ones who fail the most, because they're the ones who try the most. Because, I mean, it's true. I mean, you can't, if you don't try, you're not going to fail, right? But you're not going to succeed either. So, yeah. I know we're like 10 minutes to our cutoff time. We're only in chapter 2. But we become what we believe. So what are you choosing to believe? You know, what are you choosing to fill your mind with? And what are you holding yourself back from, and why? What has fear of rejection or failure held you back from? You need to sit in that and take the time. And I say sit in that, that's kind of my verbiage right now, is because I had a lady share with me, I have a toddler. For those on here that don't know me, she's almost 3. She does not like the word no right now. It's been a while since I've had a toddler. My next oldest child is 9. So it's been a long time since I've had fit throwing and, you know, all the things. And she encouraged me to say no once, maybe twice, and then just ignore the fit. Because apparently what they continue after the age of 4 is what they know works. And I was like, okay. So now she'll throw a massive fit. She hates to hear the word no. And I just decided to let her sit in it. And that's what she said. Let her learn what no means. She'll work it out. She'll understand you mean it. And not get myself worked up about it. So now if you come across me with a fit throwing child, you'll know that I'm not a bad mom. I'm just making her learn the word no. So yes, does anybody have any other chapter 2 nuggets that you want to share, or that you things that stuck out to you, or anything like that?
I mean, I just like the way, I don't know if that's next. The page where it says, let's be rejected. Let's see who can rack up the most rejections. And it makes me think of the whole go for no, because I've been having that conversation a lot with people lately. Like, and she even talked about it earlier, it's like normalizing it. You know,
yeah.
Stop feeling the feels with it, normalizing it. It's okay. And so I've totally reframed, just my thoughts behind that. And it's helped me just like detach emotion from it. It's not my worthiness that's attached to it. It's not my, anything attached to it. It's
we tend to do that. And I've heard 2 examples of that. And she was a waitress at Denny's. And I guess that's what she even says is like some of the things you may hear about her is how waitress from Denny's goes to selling creating IT Cosmetics or whatever. But she, when the waitress comes to your table and offers you refills or offers you the dessert at the end or whatever, when you tell her no, you know, oh, I don't need you to refill my drink, or no, thanks, we're full, I think we're done, we'll just take the check. Like, she doesn't go to the back and cry about it. Like, she doesn't get her feelings hurt and think, oh my God, I offered them cheesecake and they said no. Like, she doesn't care. Okay, like that, she's just doing her job. And when you say no, that's not tied to her, you know, value or worth as a server. Or, you know, I've seen many times where we're all in a row, like at convention or something, we're handing out candy and mints and we pass it down. Some of us take it, some of us don't. That doesn't mean the person who got it out shouldn't offer it, or that she's a terrible person or whatever, just because you said no to it. And so when we offer what we know to be valuable, that can help people, or that we think they'll like it, and they say no, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still offer it. And yeah, so just not tying emotions to it and getting all wrapped up about it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time. Okay, so chapter 3 centers a lot around you're not crazy, you're just first. And she just talks about like all of the different like inventions that were made. Just, you know, people, you know, tend to think that, you know, that's crazy, or they can't imagine that being a success or something like that, but that you're just first. And she wants us to stop people pleasing. It's okay to say you want more for yourself, your family, and your world. It's okay to challenge the belief system. These are people who help heal others by first healing themselves. Being authentic, even if it means you're by yourself. Standing all alone authentically is less lonely than standing with others who have no idea who we truly are. She says in one study, 40% of people reported that they censor what they say because they worry that voicing their opinions would create distance between them and the people they care about. I think COVID showed us a lot of ways that that actually was true, but those people were not assigned to my destiny. So we're just going to move on with that. She says if you've been called words like strange, odd, or crazy, she wants you to replace that with first, trailblazer, visionary, brave, unique, one of a kind. And that hiding your uniqueness might feel safe, but you won't ever be able to impact and serve the world the way you're created to. Chapter 3 was kind of short. She does have a poem. It's called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. And it is in, it's at worthybook.com/poem. And when you open it up, there's like an opportunity to buy the book and all the things, but there's a video at the top. And so worthybook.com/poem. And if you'll watch the video at the top, it's her reading her poem. So you can hear it for free online. But it's a really, really great poem. I would encourage you to do that. So if I could impart anything to leave you with, I would say go listen to the poem and then take the time to sit and ask yourself what's holding you back, what is fear and rejection keeping you from, and why. And if you don't know, sit quietly and ask God to reveal it to you. And if you still don't know, private message me or Kindle or someone else and say, look, such and such is something I've been dealing with and I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I can't seem to find any clarity on it. You know, ask a person you respect and admire. Talk to your spouse. You know, but I really do think if you sit with it and ask God to reveal it to you, He will. Chapter 4 was that you have greatness inside of you. There's so many reasons we doubt our greatness. Like other people have gifts and talents. Other people can rank to Emerald. You know, oh, Kendall did it. It was really just for Kendall. She's the only one that's good enough to do it. I love you, Kendall, but the rest of us are also good enough and we need to stop doubting our worthiness. But we believe success is things that happen to other people. And I feel like the world thinks that too. Like a lot of people look at MLM and say, oh, only a few people make it. Only a few people make money. Only a few people get the trips. Only a few people do this. That's not true. We've seen that. We've seen the stage full of people. Like they all put their pants on the same way, one leg at a time. Everybody has sweaty ass crack, okay? Everybody. Like they've just decided to do it. And stop letting their fears hold them back. She says, the people who've made mistakes they have, oh, they don't have a past like me, or they don't come from the wrong family, the wrong neighborhood, the wrong religious background. Many people live their entire lives just talking themselves out of their own truth and don't become the person they were meant to be. But it's never too late for a fresh start, and you're never too young or too old to begin. And again, I think it was Mindy who shared that labels and harsh words and names that we put on ourselves are not permanent. And that your past can only hold you back if you continue to live there. I was like, oh, that's kind of, wasn't there like a song or something about the rear view mirror? I can't think of that. Maybe if you'll think of that, you can share it in the chat or later in our thing. But there's a song, something about not looking in the rear view mirror because you're not going that way. It's a country song, I think. I don't know. And we must stop asking people for directions to places they've never been. Like, if they don't know where they're going or they've never been there, quit asking them, and quit putting so much weight on them too. Like, don't ask people for advice that you wouldn't trade lives with. Like, you know, like that's the importance of wise counsel. Feel free to cut in at any point. I'm just skipping through anything else, any awesome nuggets here in our last couple of minutes here. Oh, I love page 92. She talks about grace is all around you. And this is one of the things I know people talk about how beneficial it is to make gratitude lists. And sometimes your life is just spiraling completely out of control and you think that you can't find gratitude in something. And I actually spent some time with a good friend of mine she's a counselor, and she's like, no, you can find goodness in everything, even if it's how beautiful the sunset is today. Like, you can, if you'll choose to find something good, you'll find it. And so she talks about how grace is all around us. It's in the whisper that tells you to watch out. It's in the moments you felt unconditional love in your life. It's in the protection that didn't let you stray off course for long and kept you safe when you did. It's in the butterfly sharing its beauty with you. It's in the warmth of the sun's rays on your skin. It's in the closed doors that you tried so hard to pry open, only now to be so thankful that they didn't. It's the relationships that didn't work out, the lucky break you got out of the blue, the person who believed in you even when you didn't have experience, the accident you survived, the addiction you're in a lifetime of recovery from, the heart that's beating for you right now in your chest. It's the day your baby was born healthy. It's the room you were invited into even when you didn't feel qualified. It's the stranger who gave you a kind smile when there's no way they could have known you were having a bad day. And it's the breath you're able to fill your lungs with right now that says you're alive. And we can decide if we turn our pain into purpose, our setbacks, view our setbacks as setups, and use what we've been through in the spirit of service and purpose to help others make it through too, to honor the grace given to us and pass the grace along to someone else who might need the grace that our experience can offer. When we use all that we've been through to be of service in others, in ways to others, that is the greatness that is us. Holy crap, we finished part one. So please chime in because it's only 3:01 and technically we started like 5 minutes after. So any nuggets, any notes you took, anything that stood out to you? Go for it.
So many. Gosh, what's up with my I don't know if you hear it, Jara, but every time I talk, it like first yells my voice back out.
Oh, no, I don't hear an echo. Go ahead, ignore it.
No, it's done. But I mean, there's just so many. If y'all didn't finish this, I mean, like I've circled so many things. Like, external validation feels good, but it doesn't fill your soul. Like,
Yeah.
and for me, it's very much like, you know, identifying I'm the type A person where I'm the high achiever, but it's because I'm overcompensating. The busyness is my reward, right? Those are the nuggets that stood out. But it's just so.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
I thought of the joke, you know, the joke of like men who drive really, really overly large vehicles with big trucks and they're hooped up, and women joke that they're overcompensating for something. Maybe that's the way men have low self-worth.
There it is.
I'm sorry, there it is. I had to bring that around when you said
There's
that.
Jira.
Oh my gosh.
I have, I guess, a question just to ponder because it's something that I struggle with.
Yeah.
So, like, Jerry, you said that, I don't know, something that stood out to you in the book was like, please help me serve at the highest level I can, right? So, as like I believe like that's what we should all be striving for, is to like serve at the highest level that we can. But
Right.
how do you balance that with being able to be like comfortable with being still?
I think that's in your clarity with God. How does he want you to serve? And will he reveal to you ways to rest? Like to discern the difference in giving it your all and going, but then also, show me where I need to step back.
Right.
That's
And
what I would
like
think.
what we need to focus our attention on, and then what we need to let go,
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's what I would think.
if you think of Jesus, I mean, he was around people 24/7 serving, but he also had to take times for himself.
Yes. There's lots of instances in the Bible where he stepped away and took time by himself to pray
Yeah.
and be in solitude. So I think that's a time to ask God to reveal to you in what ways he wants you to show up and in what areas you need to step back and rest.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm reflecting on is, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but alignment in my life, right? Because one, sitting in these things and thinking, where am I truly called to show up in my life? Like, what do I feel like his calling for me? What is his purpose in all areas of life? But then you can be walking in his purpose and still be out of alignment, right? And so it's like, how do I constantly reflect to be able to make sure I'm also serving my family and also serving my health and also serving my spiritual walk? And, like
Right.
there's so many areas, but we get so, and I think it all ties back to this wordiness. Like, I mean, at least for me, I get so caught up in the trying to be like, okay, well, I know I got to be in alignment and all these things. So what are my check boxes to prove that I'm in alignment, when really that's pulling me out of alignment? It's not, because I'm working in each area, where I feel like I should be, and with joy and with peace and with allowing myself rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there with that one word, peace. Like
Yeah.
you're walking in alignment and you are giving it your all, it's going to feel peaceful. And the minute it stops feeling peaceful, that if you're in tune with that, that's when you know it's time to go plug yourself in for a little bit so that you can come back and research.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And I think Kelly has been an example of that whenever you were like working at the childcare preschool thing, right? Like you loved doing that and you felt like God wanted you to be there, but you didn't have peace about that, like working out in other areas or whatever. I remember you stepped back from that and you felt like that was something God was telling you to do. And that's, in one of the ways that we just ask God to be clear with us, just to show us. And I think if you really take that time to ask him, he will show you.
And don't confuse things being hard for not being peaceful, right? For not having peace. Like me going to work out every morning is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It feels really bad, but it brings me peace because I've shown up for myself and I just feel better, right?
Right.
Like pulling myself away from what I want to do to go spend time with my kids when maybe they're rotten brats who are very unappreciative. That's hard. But when I do it, I have peace about it because I know I'm serving them regardless of the rotten toots that they've been lately, right? Like when I face rejection and have to connect with people or do my checklist of separate work or whatever, that's hard. It's hard to be consistent and disciplined, but it brings me peace because I don't have peace when I'm doing the opposite, which is not doing it. Like there's so many areas that hard and not having peace are two different things. And so you have to choose for yourself in all of these areas, like your spiritual walk. It's hard to open that Bible every day and say, okay, I'm going to get up 15 minutes early so I can spend time in the word, but you have more peace because of it. So
yeah,
that I've had to work through for myself. Just because something's hard, I'm like, oh, but it's stealing my joy, when it's not. It's not. Now there are things that steal my joy, but
Cooking every day, that steals my joy.
What did you say?
But cooking dinner every day steals my joy.
Man, girl.
Oh, but you're such a good cook, Esther.
I watched this girl make spaghetti sauce from scratch when I was at her house, so I don't hear it.
Yes.
I
She
don't know
makes-
how to make it any
she's
other
made me
way.
Eggs. She's made me delicious eggs on many a trip.
Well,
Wow.
ladies, I'm going to wrap up our recording so that those who are having to catch the recording don't have something 2 hours long to watch.
Yes.
So thankful y'all made it to part 1. Next week we'll be covering through part 2. Which
Uh-huh.
was at the beginning of this, I think when I counted it, it was like 10 pages a day, 11 pages a day. I don't know, something like that. So now
Yeah.
we have a full week. And if you just break it down, that can take you 15 to 20 minutes a day. It's not, I mean, depending on your speed of reading it, but it's not as horrible as it seems. It seems horrible, right? It seems hard, but it will
Yeah.
be peace that you've accomplished it. So
I agree. And I will say, like, even, oh my gosh, if you find yourself not even finishing part 2, like, but you took time to sit and ask yourself what's holding you back. Like, because we talked about this in our book club before about not just consuming a bunch of information and not actually taking the time to do the work and the time to think and contemplate. I almost would rather you contemplate the things and do the work, like in the PDF and in the questions we've talked about today for part 1, than it would be to just consume part 2 and take nothing from it. So if it means that you get the homework side done, and then I just recap part 2 for you, and then you do the homework side, like, that's going to take longer. Obviously, aim to finish part 2. But if you're just consuming the information and not applying it, that's definitely not what I want you to do here. So do your homework. I'm assigning you homework.
yes, and if you didn't see the PDF we put in our team chat, Jara linked it on the team page. There is a PDF workbook. It's like 150 pages. You can choose to print it. You can choose to take from it what you want and just journal in a notebook. Like, totally up to you, but it's going to help you apply the things and help you, which y'all, I didn't know that I somehow missed the PDF until 10 minutes before this call. Jara's like, did you see the PDF? I'm like, oh, there's a PDF. That would be great. So
I privately sent it to you too. She still didn't even see it.
no, I don't know. I can't be responsible for all the things. I don't know.
No.
It's
Right.
127 pages long.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why I said just look at it on your screen, like pull it up on your laptop and then just make notes in a notebook. You don't have to print it out.
I like to write. I'll probably print it off and just write it out, fill it in.
Yeah. So it's good. But yeah, we'll meet next Tuesday at 2:00 to go over part 2. Share the recording, share the book. Like, tell people about this. Like, that's so, I think she talks about that in the beginning too. Like, if there's anybody that you're like, I would love to share this with so-and-so. Like, spread the love.
Yep. Tell all the people. Okay, I'm gonna stop our recording.